Hi, and welcome to AgendaPlus training. My name is Mark Vickers, and I'm the product director for AgendaPlus. AgendaPlus is the new platform that the City of Savannah will be using to prepare their agendas for council meetings, publish those agendas, and ultimately the minutes as well. In this short training video, we're going to look at the process of creating new items, which we call authoring items. In conjunction with that, we're also going to look at the item approval process. In AgendaPlus, an item author creates a new item within a subcategory on an agenda. Then that item is forwarded through to an approver who approves the item for inclusion. That's a simple process. Let's show you how it works. The screen you see up right now is the main AgendaPlus login window. So your system administrators will provide you with your username, and your password will be the same as your standard network password. When you first log into AgendaPlus, you'll see the primary dashboard. This dashboard will show you upcoming meetings and the status in terms of the number of items on the agenda and the number of items waiting to be approved. As an item author, you start by clicking on the link on the left-hand side that says Manage Agenda Items. When you click on that item, it will show you a listing of all of your previously created agenda items. Now, on any AgendaPlus screen, you always have selection criteria to refine the search. So right now it's showing all agendas and all statuses, but you can click and narrow your search down to just a specific agenda or items that fall into a particular status. And as you start working with AgendaPlus, you'll become more familiar with the statuses of submitted, awaiting approval, tentatively approved, fully approved, and we'll take a look at those as part of this training. As an item author, when it's time for you to create a new item on an upcoming agenda, you click on the button that says New Agenda Item. The new item window appears, and the first thing you're asked to do is select the agenda. At any point in time, there may be multiple agendas open and in the process of being developed for future meetings. You click on the drop-down, and we're going to add this item to a meeting called Test Meeting. Now, the agenda system is based on a template for that meeting. So having selected the agenda, we now choose a category. So maybe the item that you want to add falls under resolutions. Then we choose the subcategory. The subcategory is basically by bureau chief, and the subcategory selection is very important because when you choose the subcategory, that's how AgendaPlus knows who needs to further approve this item before it can be included on the agenda. So in this case, we're going to add an item for financial services and CFO. You'll notice the approval path has automatically been specified as financial services and CFO. The approval path and the category will match. Next, you provide the title for the item. So this item might be a resolution to change reporting requirements. Notice it's picked up my typo, so we'll correct that typo. There we go. The description. Now this description field is where you put the description that the alderman will see when they're reviewing the agenda. This is also information that will be available on the full version of the agenda as well as in the meeting minutes. Now this description box, you'll notice that it has most of the formatting icons you would be used to using in Microsoft Word or other Windows-based applications. With AgendaPlus, if you have the description of your item in a Word document, you can copy and paste it from Word over into AgendaPlus. In this case, we're just going to create a simple item, propose changing reporting requirements as per recent discussions. Having entered in a description, now it's time to add the recommendation. And the recommendation often will be as simple as staff recommends approving this, what do we call it here? I guess it's a resolution. So staff recommends approving this resolution. Again, working with the city clerk's office and the city manager's office, they will be providing you specific guidance as to how they want the recommendation structured. Now, for some agenda items, there is a financial impact. This is just an extra field that makes it easy to identify the financial impact. And maybe on this particular resolution, the financial impact would be 0. We also have a contact field. The contact field is informational, and this is for those situations where if someone wants information, wants to know who to call, wants to know who to talk to, this could either be the item author or it could be someone else that we would want them to reach out to. Again, optional field, you only need it in certain situations. Once you've got the information entered for your agenda item, we scroll back up to the top and there are 2 buttons, and it's very important to understand both of these buttons. Save saves your item but does not submit it for approval. This is typically going to be used when you have an item that you want to create, but you maybe don't have all the detail, you may not have all the attachments yet, but you know you're going to want to include it on an upcoming agenda. So you can create the item, click on Save, and it will save the item with, in effect, a draft status. When you click on Submit, Submit will submit the item for approval, and whoever is next in the approval process will get an email indicating that they've got an item ready to review. So let's go ahead and we'll click Submit on this item. Now we see our item, our resolution to change the reporting requirements for the test meeting. We see the subcategory. Notice that we are just looking at items at this point for the test meeting. All AgendaPlus screens have a series of icons beside any item. Let's go through these items. The first is the eyeball. If you hover over the eyeball, it will say View. The eyeball, when you click on it, shows you this item's detail. All of the pertinent information that's been added, as well as attachments, and the audit history. So AgendaPlus is always tracking all changes to the system and making sure those are recorded. The hourglass, that's the approval flow. Having submitted the item, we can click on the approval flow and we can see what the status is. This particular item needs to be approved at level 1 by someone called Test Approver, and it's currently waiting for that approval. The attachment icon. When you click on the attachment icon, window pops up. You can now click right here to select files from your computer. That will allow you to now attach a file to this item. These files typically are going to be PDF files, and let's see, let's just use this PDF file right here. We'll click on Open. Now it's attached that file. Close the item, and now that item has an attachment. If we come back to, view the item, we can see there is now an item or an attachment called Workshop Summaries that we can download. And if we look in the audit history, we can see that an attachment has been submitted for this item. Those are the key items. Now, in some situations, you may need to delete the item and leave an annotation and edit the item. This little icon looks like a piece of paper with a pen. Click on that. It takes you back into full edit mode for this item. Here's the key thing to remember as an item author. If you edit an item that has already been approved, the item will be resubmitted for approval. And it's important to understand the logic. If your bureau chief has approved an item and you make a change to it, the bureau chief must reapprove the item because the item that they approved no longer exists in effect because you've modified it. So always try to make sure these items are as complete as possible before sending them through for approval. So we'll submit this item. Now you may have 2, 3, 5 different items that you're adding to an agenda, and all of those items would appear right here on this list. Now let's move over to the approver side. So as an author, your job is done in terms of creating the item, but you want to make sure that it is working through the process. We're going to log out of our item author screen. and log back in as an approver. As an approver, you are brought to the same dashboard. And again, this is primarily bureau chiefs and a few other people in purchasing and the city manager's office who have approval capacity. When you click on Approve Agenda Items, AgendaPlus will automatically take you to the screen of all items that are awaiting approval for you. So you only see items that need your attention. The approval process itself is very quick. The key is reviewing the items before you click the buttons. As an approver, you should always be clicking on the eyeball, the View icon first. Click on View, review the item, review the details to make sure everything is the way you want it to be in the published version of the agenda. You have 3 core icons. We'll start kind of going backwards. Request revision. There may be situations where you review an item and something needs to be changed, whether it's a typo, additional information needs to be added, you're just not satisfied with the content of that item. Simply click on Request Revision. That's going to send a message back to the item author indicating that a revision is required. You can reject the item, the red thumbs down. If you choose to reject an item, a comments box is going to appear, and this comment is required if you are rejecting an item. The reason the comment is required when rejecting an item is the item author needs to understand why you've chosen to reject this item from the agenda. So you would put in your comment, click on Reject, and again a message would be sent to the item author. In most cases, based on the process that's being followed before an agenda item is created, you're going to be clicking the thumbs up. Again, after reviewing the item, click on the thumbs up. The approval window comes up. In this case, the comment is not required. You're approving the item. Comments are totally optional at this point. Click on Approve, and the item has now been removed from your items awaiting approval. If you want to find that item again, under All Agendas, just choose the appropriate agenda, which in this case is Test Meeting. And now you would choose Approved Items or All Statuses. And we'll take a look at All Statuses. Click on Search, and there's our item. So at any point in time, you can come back and find previously approved items. You also have the ability to do a wildcard search in this box. Type in a key term, something that would have been on that agenda item, click Search, and again, you'll be presented with items that match that criteria. So the approval process is very simple and very quick. Now, once an item has been approved, we want to go back and take a look at what the item author sees and how that item has changed. So we log back in as our item author, go back to Manage Agenda Items, and now here's our resolution to change reporting requirements. That item now shows as fully approved. That means it's gone through the process. If we click on the eyeball to view the history, we can see the date and time that that item was approved by our approver. If we click on the approval workflow icon, the approval flow icon, the hourglass, you'll also see when it was approved and by whom. Now keep in mind, if you come back in and edit your item, if you make any change, even the smallest fix of a typo, when you resubmit that item, it's now gone back to awaiting approval. So again, very important, as you are creating new items in AgendaPlus, do everything you can to make sure they're accurate right from the beginning, so that when they go through the approval process, you're not put into a situation where you need to make changes and resubmit that item. Again, watch this tutorial again. The test meeting that I've been using here is available on the system. It will ask for actual approvals from the real bureau chiefs, but at this point they will see that it's a test meeting. So go into AgendaPlus, watch this video again, and just get comfortable with the process of creating agenda items. Thanks, and good luck creating lots of agenda items.